good afternoon. Right. So, where are we up to? I've done a little bit more painting on the engine block itself. Mostly doing a bit of the detail. Now I'll give you a bit of a closer look at that in a moment. But first, what I want to do is just see if what I did yesterday worked. And that is where, so this is one of the coolant tanks. The engine has a pair of coolant tanks, one on each side. Here's the other one, not in position yet. And then it has a pipe that comes off it here, and then that attaches to a vapor trap before then going through into the engine, traveling through, and then coming out the back and going to the radiator flaps, or the radiator, which is in the rear flap, or which is in the flaps of the wings. So that comes into there. Now, what happens is in the, so this one's actually going to be painted mostly this color, I think it's RLM02, and so will the pipe. But then we'll get to this little part here. I'm going to paint that one sort of a metal silvery kind of color, and then the vapor trap, this part here is black. So I'll show you that in my book in a little bit of time. But what I've done is I've done a dry fit because I want to paint this first before gluing it into position on the main engine. But what I've done is I've put that in without gluing it. I've put that in without gluing it. But then what I've done is I've glued in a bit of piping there. So, with the idea that I can then remove all of this and it will be in position. Now, why did I do that? I did it because I couldn't really glue this together without it being in situ on the engine, because I couldn't quite get the positions in exactly the right spot. So I needed them in place first. So I just put them in, and then I applied some of the Tamiya thin cement. I don't know if you saw that. Some of the Tamiya thin cement, which then just ran into the gaps. And I'm just hoping that it did not run too much so that it's kind of glued the whole thing in place, because then I'm kind of hamstrung. So the first thing I'm going to do is see if I can jiggle this out of position. So hopefully the whole construct will stay together. Oh, there we go, it's looking pretty good. And so that was fairly straightforward. So now I've taken this piece off here, like so, and it's all together in exactly the right configuration. So now I should be able to take this away. I'm planning on spraying it, and then I can put it back together. So I'm just going to very gingerly place that down there. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just point out, or I can actually, I was going to move the camera, but I don't need to. I can just move myself around. So what I've done is I've now painted some more of the details down the side here. I've done a little bit of silvering or gunmetal kind of color there, and I have attached the magneto there, which sits on the top, and painted it accordingly, and done a bit of detail, just putting a little just on the bolts there. Also the end here, the shaft where the propeller eventually will attach onto, I've gone over with some paint as well. So that's pretty much where that's at. Next I need to paint up those coolant tanks, put together the one on the other side. So one goes here, one goes here, and then get that done. I've also started to glue together the supercharger assembly, so this will eventually attach on somewhere around like that. So that needs a bit more painting as well. The instructions erroneously say to attach it at this point here, whereas in actual fact it attaches at this point there. The instructions say put it there, it actually has to go there. So if anyone else is building this model, you'll notice that that's an error in the instructions. There. That's pretty much it. Just a very quick, short update to show that I have been slowly putting this thing together. Oops, careful. Now once it all goes on, I'm going to get all the other pieces painted up, glued in, and then I'm going to start going over it with some weathering. But you may be wondering what some of those components are on the engine, so give me a second here while I go to my other reference book. Where are we? So, this part along here, this metal long sort of like going along. Now what's that? That's the plug leads. That's the plug leads there, which then lead down to the ejector exhausts. We can see them there. So yeah, that's them. Then on the top of the engine, yes, we have the magneto. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Yeah, so I'll keep going, and then once I've done the next part, then I'll do the next video. So as always, thank you for watching, and bye for now.